Our guest today is Richard Lindenberg. Welcome, Richard.
Hey, hi, Eric.
Richard is a fabulous landscape painter out in California. Richard, what are you going to do for us today?
I'm going to do something. I'm going to actually do what I call unconventional brush approaches. So what I'm going to do is work on a demo that's going to be using 3 different approaches that many people aren't familiar with different kinds of brushes.
Okay.
So I'm going to use.
So this is more about brushwork?
It's application of brushwork using unconventional brushes.
Oh, okay. And you're going to be using what kind of paint?
Oil paint.
Oil paint. Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's do it. Let's just get right into it.
All right. I'll do
Okay,
that.
terrific.
All right. Well, anyway, let me show you what I'm going to use first. When I say unconventional brushes,
Okay,
first I'm going to use wood chip brushes. Can you see these? Yeah.
yeah.
So these are hardware store brushes that are, they're very inexpensive. You can get like 36 of them for $15. And it applies very quickly an underpainting and tacks up relatively easy and shows the brushwork. It's very transparent because these stiff, odd tips, they're really not able. You're not able to control edge work with it. So the brushwork is great. And then at the end, you can push and pull the edge work and make whatever you want. So that's the first one I'm going to use.
Okay.
Second, I'm going to use eggberts.
Eggberts.
By the way, these are going to be all on the same painting. So eggberts are long, very wonderful brushes that are very, very difficult to be tight with and to control very easily. I bought these from Rosemary Brush. I don't know if other brush manufacturers also manufacture them.
It looks like you've got 2 different kinds. One of them looks stiffer than the other.
One is synthetic and one is natural bristle. She makes both.
Okay.
And there's a different quality to both of them. The stiffness of the synthetic has a lot more spring in it than the other egbert. And then I'm going to finish the painting with liner brushes that can be used in a lot of different ways. For me, again, these come in natural or synthetic, and they are from Rosemary, but I know many other manufacturers also make these brushes. They're long, thin, mostly flexible bristles, and I use it calligraphy-wise, very loose, to put edge work with light or to scrape in certain manners. So you'll see how I approach it.
So you're going to build a foundation with big brushes, then you're going to go in a little narrower with the egbert brushes, and then you're going to put your final touches on with your thin brushes.
Or a combination of all of that. Yeah.
Okay, so you can go back and forth.
And since we only have a half an hour or whatever, 40 minutes, whatever it is to finish this, I have a relatively complex painting, but I put the basic big brush here. I'll show you and I'll talk.
Okay.
Can you see that clearly?
Yes, we can. So what is the one on the left? Is that your reference photo?
Well, I did a 30 by 40 of this painting, I'd say 5-6 years ago. And that's the photo of that painting. And so this whole structure right here that I put in is just basically a burnt umber and a little bit of ultramarine. And I just scrape it in. If you can, I don't know if you can see all of the close brush, the brush marks and all of that, because you can't put it in smooth. It just goes on very transparent. And the whole thing I just did here, you have an idea of what the painting's going to be. And it took me maybe 10 minutes to do that.
But so people are asking in the comments, what kind of surface are you painting on, and what kind of paint, and did you thin that paint to lay that in?
Okay. So the surface is a Raymar linen panel, but actually it's repurposed. I used Gamblin oil ground on a clunker of a painting and put it over the top, and now, long ago it dried. So now I'm able to paint on top of it, but still maintain not quite the linen texture that I had before, but it's a good way to repurpose a painting.
In
So
other words,
that's
if you had a dog, that you can cover it with oil ground and start over.
exactly. I scrape it first. You know, I don't like it keeps texture. It adds a lot of texture to the painting when you do that.
I've never known you to do a dog painting, Richard.
No, get out of here, Eric. You live in Texas now, not in California anymore. So I'm going to pick it up from where I left off here.
So which brush did you use to lay all that in?
That's all with the big. That's all with the big chipwood brush.
Okay.
And
right.
I'm now moving to the smaller chipwood brush. This one's a 1 inch. The other one is a 1.5 inch. If you're doing a big painting, you can use a 2 or 2.5 inch one. Doesn't matter. But I love the texture that it does. And this shape here, the tree itself, was basically a very light wipe off. You know, I just put a dash of turp on, and just so I have an indication of where I'm going with it, I just wiped into that. But underneath that, it was all just the dark shape, just really this quick. You know, it goes that quick.
Okay.
So I'm going to use this smaller one now, and I can't show you my palette because I only have one camera. But
can you? Is there a way you can just real quickly hold your palette up?
This is a handheld version. Can you see?
Yeah.
I can't tilt it too much because I got a little bit of
no, but just point out what your colors are real quickly.
Okay, my basic colors are always more or less the same: white, yellow ochre. I usually use a lemon yellow and a cad yellow light. I added a Sennelier Chinese orange onto this one because, as you can see, there's a lot of that orange in the painting.
Yeah, I just bought 2 tubes. You can see them behind me, as a matter of fact. I just got a couple extras. You turned me on to that color.
Yeah, I know. It mixes beautifully. I never use it straight. I always use it as a mix. Makes great greens. Then I have a cad red light. I have an ultramarine, and then I have Sennelier's indigo, which I love a lot. I also use Rembrandt paints because I think they're really consistent and smooth, and I just like the way they go on. And then I have, so that's my basic palette. Then I add supplemental colors. I got burnt umber, and then a sap green because I'm going to use some green in there. But I pre-mixed a bunch of these colors, more or less,
okay,
that I'm going to use as modifiers.
All right.
So I'm going to go right at it and show you how quick.
What are you doing? Do you have paint on your brush?
Can you see the blue?
No, it's the white is blowing out. So you're putting a blue in. Okay.
Hold on.
No, it's worse.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm putting on a sky.
Okay.
And I'm just putting it in quickly.
So the sky is about the same value. It's real light. Yeah.
It is a light. I'm going to, I might modify that and bring it down some as I get closer. Again, this is an underpainting. Not paying any attention to detail at this point. More or less.
More or less.
I'm not filling it, I'm not being careful to fill in all the holes. I'm working quicker than I normally would because of the time constraint. Okay, we got a sky. I'm going to move into that cloud structure that you see on this left here. Let me just chirp this.
Hard for us to see what that cloud structure is.
You can't see it here, basically. It's just a
I'll tell you what. I'll put you on full camera here. That'll make a difference. Better. Okay, now I can see it.
You can see the blue now.
No, I can see the blue in the photograph. I can't really see it otherwise.
Okay. I'm going to put a little bit of gray in there, and I'm mixing this basically with the green and red. That's my cloud. It goes on so quickly.
Yeah, big brushes make such a big difference, don't they?
The what?
Big brushes make such a big difference.
They do. for underpainting. It doesn't work. This approach does not work with all subjects. It works with things that have big masses, mountains, trees. I paint a lot of trees, obviously. Mountains, trees, big water, things that are large shapes. It works much better with. One of the reasons I'm a painter is because when I was, at least this is my supposition, when I was a kid, my mom had a choice. I was on the cusp of going into kindergarten or first grade. And I went into kindergarten for 1 week. And then my mom told the teacher, no, I want to move him ahead to first grade. And so I got to play in the sandbox and play with finger paints for a week. And it pissed me off. Okay. Now I'm going to move to the orange. What kind of time? You think we'll have about 30 minutes, something like that?
Oh, you've probably got 40 minutes from now, 42
Okay.
minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, plenty of time. You could do like 5 or 6 in the amount of time. Now, is that the Chinese orange mixed with something else?
Yeah, it's got a bit of green in to tone it down. And I have several pre-mixed colors here, so I'm able to pick it up a little bit. I'm not paying a lot of attention, like I said, to detail yet. I'm mostly looking at value.
All right.
And, there's a lot of simple transition of color. And I don't know where it's going to go yet. I have this indication of what it was when I started, when I did the last one.
Yeah, but you'll make it a little different.
But it always ends up being different when you reiterate a painting.
Yeah. Hey, I want to remind everybody that we have prizes. Today, the prize is a fabulous Plein Air Magazine apron, blue jean material. And the way to win that is by leaving a comment, telling us where you're from. And of course, we're just going to pick randomly from the live and the replays. So if you're watching a replay, you can still win it. Today's winner is the easel brush clip, Ann Woods Arnold from Tennessee. Ann Woods Arnold, congratulations. Thumbs up for Ann. All right, Richard, I've done my job. I've made my announcement.
All right. So really, I am done with the underpainting already. That's how long it takes.
Now you're laying in white on the top of that cloud.
It's a creamy white. It's not really white, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, hard for us to tell in this particular case.
And again, I'm now at the stage where I can start to put a little bit of refinement into things. Okay.
All right.
Now I'll go back and I'm going, I got to be careful not to slant this. Basic shape is all done.
All right.
I'm going to now move to the eggbert. So that's how quick
all right, good.
That's how quick the big brush works.
Hey, got people watching from Italy, from Norway, Sweden, Mexico. We don't see that very often. Yay. Welcome, everybody. Say where you're coming in from so that we can mention it.
All right, I'm going to move where I'm coming in from or where they're coming in from?
No, where they're coming in from. I'll mention it from time to time.
All right, I'm going to move.
You just keep painting, and I'll do the rest.
Okay.
Yeah, I have the hard part. You have the easy part.
Okay.
Not.
I've now moved to the eggbert, and I most often use it on its side.
Now, it looks to me like a pretty pure yellow you're putting on there.
Not at all.
It's hard to tell.
It's got quite a bit of that Chinese orange in, and I'm gonna. So where is the light coming from, you ask? Obviously, that's a big
I
portion.
did ask.
That's a big portion of this painting. The light's streaming in from over here. So, the rules of definition are going to be a little darker here and a little lighter on the other side. I'm going to put a little more red into it now. And I'm using the edge of this brush, and it's almost just balancing in my hand. I'm not putting any pressure, so to speak, on this egbert. You can even just press it into the painting.
You've come a long way, baby, since you and I met.
Oh, 21 years of practice, Eric.
We'll do it.
All right, let me put that base color in now.
Richard used to work with us at Plein Air Magazine. He just retired a couple of years ago to go full-time painting. What year did we meet?
It's been 10 and a half years ago.
Is that?
Yeah.
It's got to be longer than that, because it was while I was still living in California. I've been in Texas for 11 years, maybe 12.
Okay, so there's now some shade developing down here. I'll come back, and just dapple in some light.
If you guys are enjoying this, give a thumbs up.
Huh?
I was just talking to the audience. I said if they're enjoying it, to give a thumbs up.
I'm going to come back later and do the calligraphy work on these tree branches, but I'm just putting a little color into them now.
All right.
And this is an old cypress tree from Bolinas, California, out by Bolinas Lagoon. It's on private property owned by Susie Tompkins and her husband. She used to be the owner of Esprit, the old clothing line.
Oh, wow.
And they live out there on this piece of property right on this bay, on this lagoon that's totally tidal. So there are times when that's solid water and times when it's solid marsh like this is.
Wow.
Really beautiful out there. Okay, I'm going to now do a little bit of refinement in the back.
Pays to have friends in high places, doesn't it?
Well, actually, they're not friends. They're just, I volunteer at the Bolinas Museum auction on pretty much an annual basis. They do this great auction at the Peace Barn. This barn that they have that has a giant peace symbol over it. So this egbert, again, you can't control it. It's impossible.
And why is that a good thing?
Well, if you want tight paintings, you want to be in control. If you want looser, more painterly paintings, you don't want to be in such great control. The mountains behind always have these stands of trees on them with open meadow plains that are up there as well. I have to modify colors. So I have these supplemental colors that I already put in, but I got to modify them on a regular basis in here.
Looks really beautiful just by having all that light in there.
Okay, I'm going to go with the tree a little bit now.
Okay.
So when I worked, I would say 6 years ago or so, I worked with Scott Christensen for a little while, helping with a project that he was doing, mixing colors for him. And in watching him paint, one of the things that I really enjoyed was to see how he brought life into the shadow areas of the painting, which all master paintings have that quality in some form or another, unless it's a silhouette. And he gave me a tip that I took. It screwed me up for 6 months, but basically he said most instructional videos and things like that tell you paint the darkest dark and the lightest light first in your painting to manage the key. And he says, no, move up from the darkest dark, paint at least a step higher, if not a step and a half higher in key. And the same with the lights, paint a step to a step and a half lower in key. And that way you can always use a real bounce at the end of dark to accentuate the painting, to put in contrast. So if you see here, these really dark central portions, you're not really seeing that here yet. So I've done the shape in a dark, but it's really a zone 6 dark. It's not, it's not particularly dark. So I'm going to start defining some shape. Again, with the eggberts, it's really great to do these kind of trees. And
I noticed you're trying not to cover all of your underpainting.
No, not at all. This, I'm actually going to be putting more paint on top of this. I'm just trying to control my edge, trying to put some more definition into the edge of these trees, because these cypress have this life. They have a life force of their own.
Yeah, they're very poetic, aren't they? I remember a day you and I were painting cypress trees out on the coast. I don't remember exactly where. There was an old lighthouse or farm or something. Do you remember that?
Lighthouse or farm?
It was on the coast, north of San Francisco. I don't remember exactly where it was.
Point Reyes?
Point Reyes, that's what it was. Point Reyes, yeah.
Yeah, they closed that off for a while due to the COVID.
I'd be sneaking in.
There's only one road, Eric.
I'd dig under it. It's such a fabulous place to paint.
Absolutely. See how I'm mostly just using the edge of this brush. But if you do want detail, use the point. You can do it.
Huh. I think you're the first person to use an eggberts brush on this show.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm also using a handheld palette, which I don't normally do. But for this particular exercise, when I'm in the studio, I have a glass palette below.
So it looks like you're using a little bit of a greener shade now. Is that right?
Yeah, it's got more blue in it. All right, now I'm going to go. Okay, so I'm trying to define more of these dark areas. Do a lot of people that do your demos find it hard to talk when they're concentrating?
Yeah, it's not easy, is it?
No.
That's when I usually start blabbering and interrupting.
Uh,
Concentrate, whatever you need to do is fine. Question from the audience: are you using a medium of any kind in your paint?
yes. In this particular case, I'm using lavender oil by
Classic.
Classic, Chelsea Classic.
Yeah.
It's their fat medium.
So you wouldn't use that until you're on a upper layer.
No, I use it on the lower layer.
Oh, really? I thought it was fat was supposed to come last.
Well, there are rules and there are rules to be broken.
And there are paintings that'll crack in 100 years. Now, you use, when you did your first wash in, did you use Gamsol or something?
Yeah, a lot of Gamsol.
You're pretty good at a sharp edge on that.
Yeah, just right on the tips of these trees.
So now you're enhancing the form on the tree a little bit, it looks like.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to go put some light into the tree itself. All across the top, you got this vibrant orange color. And it's leaving the dark underpainting underneath it. I do it in different places, you know, it's broken color.
Takes bravery though.
Yeah. These paintings have a way of dictating their own, their own way about them. It's hard. It's not like this can be planned. All I can do is plan the basic structure.
Yeah, you get some happy little accidents, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It speaks. I don't know if you've ever realized this, but to me, the painting speaks to you all by itself.
What does it say?
It says, make me lighter over here. Make me darker over here. And, when you have a lot of reds like this and orange, how do you make them dance? How do you make them sing? Well, you got to put some vibration into it, right? So let's throw some green in there. Let's lighten that green.
Are you thinking at all about color harmony when you lay that green in? Are you trying to lay it in?
No, not at all. The mixture is basically, I'm thinking about the value of it, but no, it just allows it to bounce. It bounces the eye. And I'm going to come back in here, push darks again closer to the end of this, if I have time.
All right. Well, you got about 25 minutes so far left. And do you ever paint from photograph?
Yeah, of course. It's when you're in the studio, you got no choice. And I've been in the studio for what, a year now, like everybody else.
You haven't been able to get
Oh,
out
yeah.
plein air painting?
No, I am. I do. There are certain areas around here that are protected more than others. Okay, need some darks. Okay, so the darks in this particular painting help separate it, as they do in most paintings actually, help separate it from the background, gives that extra added illusion of depth. And I'm not trying to copy that painting totally. Even if I wanted to, I don't think I could.
Yeah, well, also you want it to be a little different. This is fun.
Yeah. Wait till I get to the calligraphy. I need about, I guess, 10, 15 minutes with calligraphy, if you could warn me.
All right.
So the insides of trees always have a darker color because they're buried. You know, they're really buried in that, in the tree itself. I'm still using this egbert.
So pretty much, is that the three types of brushes you showed us? Is that pretty much what you always use?
No, it only works on certain kinds of compositions.
Oh, okay. All
I
right.
use traditional brushes all the time, bristles and sometimes some synthetic mixed in. But they do work well with big shapes.
Yeah.
You see, I'm using the sides of this brush a lot. Put some more dark up in here. The core of the tree.
Absence of light. What about when you're painting a tree? What's the key to the top of the tree, how it meets the light? Is there a particular thing that you want to do there?
In this particular case, I will get to detailing that. You can either use harder edges or softer edges. This is a cypress, so it had the beauty of this tree is that it has sharper edges. There's this. Okay, I'm looking right now at where it's missing some of these dark interior shapes.
I think you're a great example of someone that kind of reinvented themselves. You had a whole career in the retail or the wholesale business years ago, and then you decided to take up painting, and you got pretty good at it pretty fast. But when you went to it full time, that's when you really started to rock. I mean, you were working with Sennelier in marketing or something, and then I think, it was about a year after that, just after painting full time every day, that you really could see a huge difference in your work.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
I was
you know,
very jealous of that. That's something I've never had the chance to do.
well, you will. It's what you're doing is so amazing, Eric. I know people tell you this all the time, but you have built this community that has helped all of us redefine ourselves. And I know I know you're modest, and I know you don't like to hear this, but it really has helped so many people what you've done. And the community is one of the best parts of all of it. Just love.
We've all made so many great friends. Thank you for
Oh,
saying that. That's very sweet.
absolutely. So many great friends all over the country, all over the world. In fact, today I was just talking to Peggy Immel. She's a friend. She came to France with me last year and a group of other people. And Peggy was telling me, I was saying to her, I was lamenting that, I can't wait till we can go back to France and paint back there again. And she was telling me that she has this friend in Chamonix. Peggy Immel used to be a mountain climber. And she has this friend in the French Alps who has a house that she used to lead. I don't know if she still does. Used to lead summer mountaineering tours. I mean, I'm talking about a mountain climber with ropes,
Yeah,
with gear. And she said she's offered that place to me, no problem, because they have this dormitory style house that they use to put all the campers in, all of the climbers in. So next time we go to France, I think we'll be able to go to that. So that's what I mean about community.
that's right. I mean, we have people from probably 60, 70 countries that watch the show consistently. I've heard from people who have homes in places like Tuscany, or I've been invited to Egypt. I mean, it's just amazing.
Would you have dreamed that this kind of thing could have happened? That's a question for you. Would you have dreamed when you started all this that it could have possibly, worked out like this with everybody?
No, I had no clue what was going to happen. My goal when I started the plein air convention was to start getting people together, because I thought if we got together, it would help the movement grow. And then the relationships started developing, and then everything has happened since then.
Yeah. You remember I was there when you were first discussing doing this again.
Yeah, I remember all the heat I got, people telling me not to do it. I think it was Laura who said, "Eric, you can't do this. You'll be bankrupt if it fails."
Oh, I thought for sure it would be a hit. I didn't know it would be anything like this, though. It was an honor working with you all these years, Eric. I'll tell you, it wasn't my goal when I first worked with you was to help build this community that you had dreamed of.
And you did.
Because I was part of that community, regardless of you, I was part of that community. And I wanted it for me, selfishly. And look what it did. I mean, just amazing.
Well, the key is now we got to figure out how to keep it growing and thriving. The COVID has been hard on all the art shows. A lot of the shows are not coming back, and we've got to really work to get them back, help them out.
All of my shows have been canceled, and I'm not sure how many of them can come back again.
Yeah. Well, this has been, the motivation for a lot of people to retire or to stop or to, move on to something else. And I thought about it, but I'm not gonna.
Thought about what?
I thought about stopping, It's like I haven't traveled much really in 6 months. I would traveled out 40 trips last year or
Well,
the year before. So
you're
I
still a
kind
young man.
but I like being at home. Haven't been at
Okay,
home for years.
so I'm going to now move to the tiny brush.
Okay, good.
The
Yeah, it's
basics
time.
of this are here. The bones are there. You know, the time constraint definitely hinders all the development of this painting that I would do. But, you know, I think it's important to get the bones in. And all right. So now I'm going to use this egbert.
Is it an egbert? A small egbert?
No, excuse me, a liner brush.
A rigger?
It's a rigger. I call it a liner.
Okay. Somebody should write that down in the comments.
And I use this in lots of different ways too. But okay.
So you're blowing up that light even more.
Why not?
Yeah.
Put a little more red in there. So again, I use the sides of it for this kind of thing, but I use so I'll use the tip to do calligraphy. And that's what I wanted to show. Basically, you can do thick by pressing and just
This is fun. Richard, you went to the Adirondacks one time, didn't you?
sure.
Yeah, I thought so. This year is going to be the 10-year anniversary. Last year was supposed to be, but this year is going to be the 10-year anniversary of the Adirondack event.
Is that an invitation?
It could be. It could be. Love to have you.
Okay. So you can see how this is developing. It's really push and pull, and you know, I would go at this with a lot more precision as I get towards the end of it.
What's been amazing to me is this is day 309. I've had, many artists on, and every day I learned something new from one of them. I thought I knew everything, and somebody's got a different way of approaching things, and I'm learning new things from you today.
Good. All right, let's go back to the lining. How are we doing time?
You got about 10 minutes.
Okay, good. I'm going to go back and do a little more line work.
Is that a different brush?
Same brush.
Same brush. Okay.
Really, you know, you talk about this a lot with other people, how they hold it in the back, hold the brush in the back.
Yeah.
And it's great when you're doing calligraphy. There's no other way to do it. It's just fabulous.
Yeah, it really flows. And you get this kind of this random feel to it. Well, those little touches, just a little specks of light on the end of a branch really give it dimension.
Absolutely. I'm not even looking at that painting.
You're just kind of making stuff up at this point.
Exactly.
That makes it more fun.
The thing you got when you're
see how
doing
he's twisting his wrist?
Huh?
I said, see how he's twisting his wrist.
The thing I got to be careful when I do something like that, I got to be careful that I'm not multiplying the same angles.
Right.
Okay, let's get a good one going out here.
Yeah, okay.
All right, let's go to darker.
It's looking good, Rich.
Thanks.
So what Rich will do is once he's finished after the program, if he does any more work on it, he'll post a picture of it so you can get a feel for the true color and how it looks. He'll post it in the comments section later on after it's aired and I mean in terms of the replays and so on.
Sure. Okay.
I'm loving that. That's just beautiful.
It's all about the light, huh?
The other thing is sometimes it's kind of hard to not overdo it. You know, the temptation could be to put a whole lot of that twig work in there and it could overdo it.
For sure. This particular spot right here is an interesting calligraphy challenge because you want to have the indication
So you kind of laid down a glow underneath it, looks like. I don't know if that was the intent.
Yeah. On a little thick. I would come back in here with the blue, but I'm not sure I have time.
No, you don't. So you would carve that brush down or that branch down because it's a little thick. I see.
Well, let's put this nice one in here. And then I'll put some dark one out here.
We still got a pretty big audience today, in spite of the fact that a lot of them are on Watercolor Live watching.
Oh,
So
cool. There's these mossy droppings to this tree. All right, so now let's see what else I can do here.
perfect.
And there's this low hanging. This would be pretty easy to fix with just a little bit of that blue.
Would you
Do I
wait
have
till
any time at all?
Would you wait? Yeah, you got a couple minutes.
Okay.
All right, that'll be good. Show how you carved that out.
I'm taking the original blue color that I had. It's pretty thick right now. And it definitely contaminates the color, so you have to wipe it every now and then.
That's something that took me a long time to learn, is the idea of carving out. It's a great tool.
And I'd go back and I'd spot touch some of these interior areas here.
Outstanding.
And then I got this interior, this spot right here. Doesn't take much.
Now, do you try to make the sky holes a little lighter or darker than the sky in the background?
Typically darker, but I'm not paying a lot of attention to it on this one. To me, it's more the shape.
Right.
And then I can go with that yellow color.
You know, it doesn't take a lot of sky holes to give the effect. You don't have to put every single one in.
For sure. All right, let's see what I can do with this. Randy Sexton taught me in an early workshop, 3 is a good number when you're doing holes. Dit, dit, dash.
Makes sense. Gives you balance.
There's some sky over here.
Outstanding. Well, I think we're at that point. Why don't you come back on camera? Can you, first off, before you do that, can you get that canvas up to the camera so we can see it?
You want me to put it right into the camera?
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
fill it? Okay. It's hard for me to do it without seeing the monitor, but
That's okay. All right. That's okay.
hold on. And it's backwards. So
okay. We can see it a little better now because of being straight on. Okay, great. Come back on camera.
okay, hold on.
Richard.
Yeah.
You've been fabulous.
All right, thanks, Eric. I'm back.
Yeah. I know. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, folks, this is Richard Lindenberg. You can find him at richardlindenberg.com. What will they find at your website, Richard?
Oh, about 600 paintings. Right now, I've suspended all workshops and things like that, and there are no events really other than some online events, which those have been great. I'm sure you have other people have been talking about that, Eric. I've actually made some nice sales at online events, and I don't have to ship it there and ship it back if it doesn't sell. So there have been some real interesting developments as a result of COVID. Silver linings. So
some nice benefits. Well, Richard, thank you for being on today. You're a true inspiration.